Hi everyone, welcome back to the podcast. This time around, I'm taking you to Rwanda, the land of 1,000 hills. I didn't just go to Rwanda for the coffee and the hills. Though trust me, the coffee and the hills hit. I went for an event, the Borderless Africa events.
Kigali, what's up? Welcome to the closing concert of Giants of Africa Festival.
This festival is about the young giants who are shaping the landscape of tomorrow.
Kigali, are you ready to have some fun?
Well, most of you might be asking, what's Borderless Africa? Now, the Borderless Africa event is a gathering that's all about reimagining Africa and how it would look like without the usual barriers and the boundaries that we do have. It was a chance to connect, to share ideas, and to see firsthand how Rwanda is reshaping itself into one of the most forward-looking countries on the continent. But beyond this event, I wanted to experience Rwanda itself, to walk the streets of Kigali and to understand what makes this country so unique. Now we see Visit Rwanda on PSD shirts. So what is Rwanda? In this episode, we are traveling together and I'm going to take you into my Rwandan experience.
Don't bring that back, man. I literally sing my croaky voice.
A very good friend of mine invited me for this event called the Borderless Africa event. I really didn't know what Borderless Africa is. It was my first time to hear what Borderless Africa is. So he told me there is something going on in Rwanda and it's called the Borderless Africa event. And I feel that it's something that you are going to enjoy. I am a progressive person and I really like things that are progressive and forward looking. We need to do more to unite as Africa, as youth, to better the future of Africa, to see to it that we move as a whole continent. You know, there is strength in numbers and I feel Africa we need to come together, we need to work together. We might not be looking eye to eye, but we really need to have a common goal as Africa, as youth. What future are we looking at for Africa? So he slid in my inbox and they were like, there's something going on in Rwanda. You really ought to be part of it. And I did my research and it was the second time that Rwanda was hosting the Borderless Africa event. The first one was hosted in 2023 and there was a lot going on and you know, I saw it was really fun. It was the first time it was hosting, but Borderless Africa has been there for over 20 plus years. It was started in the early 2000s and this gentleman came up with this. I read about Borderless Africa and I'm like, it's something that I would wish to be part of. So we booked the event. We were there 2 nights, 3 days, and it was really epic. So we went and did some sightseeing. But before we got there by bus. We had to buy tickets. We bought tickets a month too. So we bought tickets to the event, to the opening event, of course. They were about 20,000 Rwandan francs. The day reached and we had to travel, of course. We traveled by road and these buses were pretty much comfortable. And when we reached Kabahal, of course, now the altitude, we started climbing like altitude. And of course, there were those effects, eardrums and all of that. We reached the Katuna border. Now, border crossing is one of those places you suddenly realize how disorganized your papers are.
Have you touched any drugs?
I don't understand.
Any heroin, cocaine?
Cocaine?
Yeah, have you been in touch with
Oh, no.
Crossing from Uganda to Rwanda is the easy part. When you reach Rwanda, things change all of a sudden. They were really, really strict, no caveras and all of that. And on both sides, they were really, really good people. When you reach the border, we didn't take more than 30 minutes. When you cross through Rwanda, like things change. The roads, the cleanliness, I think they drive on the right. On the right? Yeah, so I think right, this side, left. I mean, like we had to switch lanes, you know, drive on the left, then we drive on the right. First time that I crossed via road to Rwanda, it was night, because like we reached Rwanda 5 in the morning. I couldn't really see the hills. But then when we crossed, the sun was rising and you could see the hills, the beauty, the fog. So there was a lot of vegetation and greenery and farms of tea. They have that monthly thing that they do to clean the city, and they were cleaning, not the city but the country. So it's done in communities. So they were cleaning, and what amazed me were these guys who were dashing with milk cans. You find that someone was carrying over like 4 milk cans on the bike, and they were dashing through these hills and valleys, and you know, they were like Tour de France guys. When you were entering Kigali by road, you know how there are very many hills, and you could just see hills on hills on hills. Boom, we just entered Kigali and we just saw the buildings. I was like, oh, more or less like Las Vegas. I'll give you in a context of Uganda. In Ugandan towns or in Ugandan cities, let me say for example Kampala. When you're entering Kampala from Jinja, when you reach Mukono, you begin to see buildings raising. You reach like in Balala, you see buildings are starting to raise. So when you reach Mukono, like they are now actually tall buildings and there's a lot of economic activity happening. You reach Set and you're like, okay, I'm getting closer. But the time you reach Kampala, you are getting used to these buildings, and then all of a sudden, boom, there is Kampala. Kigali is quite different by road when you're coming from Uganda. So you're seeing the hills, the beauty, and then boom, Kigali is right there, right? Just like Vegas, like, you know, when you're entering Vegas has literally boundaries of human settlement. Before you enter, there is desert. Then you just boom, hit it, and you're like right there. You get. So it was more or less like the same feeling that I got entering Kigali. But of course, once you start traveling, it's like an addiction. The beauty with traveling is it opens your mind. It gives you point of views. It humbles you at a certain point, and it also gives you a perspective, or it gives you a narrative of who do you want to be, where do you want to be, and how do you want to live your life. When you mix with other cultures, you get to understand and appreciate other cultures, but you also get to appreciate your culture more. You appreciate what you have, and you know, you're like, wow. But of course, you also add knowledge, you add value, you add perception. In my opinion, that is how you grow. Get a perception, get this view, compare and contrast. And you know those days when we used to do sets, then that middle part is something that you can use. Live life, improve your standards of living, improve your livelihood, improve your thoughts, improve your thinking. So the first day we get to Kigali. Now this is where things get saucy. This is where things get saucy, bruv. So we reach Kigali, and you know, we get off the bus. We're weary, we're tired, but excited at the same time. Bookings, bro. Like, you guys, like, come on now, come on. Bookings, you guys can do better. So we get an Uber. We had already gotten our accommodations with bookings, and they had given us a number. We had called them, and we were telling them we are on our way. And they're like, cool, come through. So we get there, and you know, we're excited, and we're looking at the place. Good place. Conducive, comfortable, cozy. On bookings, they had shown us that the days that we had booked are free. We booked and we made our payments and we are ready to go. And they were like, okay, cool. From this date to this date, you guys have the place to yourselves. And shout out to that Uber guy, by the way. He took us to sites. He took us through Kigali. Then he took us through really, really good neighborhoods. What this guy did was, there was a straight, like, okay, I'm just going to demonstrate. There is a straight road like this to the Airbnb, for example. So what this gentleman did, he did this, came through like this, came like this, then came like this, you know, then went to the neighborhood, and then before we know it, we are here. Well, some might say it was a tactic. He wanted to get more, he wanted to get more points, or he wanted to get more money. But in my view, I felt like he was being proud of his city. He took us to the Ugandan embassy, showed us where it is located. We went to this posh, and hey, I mean, I'm going to give it to Rwanda. You guys have some really, really good homes. Rwanda is currently under construction. There is construction going on everywhere, but at the same time, you can't notice that construction is going on until you actually key in. There are some places where you go and when they are building a road or when they are constructing like a building, like they are blocking roads and things are debris falling and there are cautions everywhere. But in Kigali, they do it silently. It's there when you actually see it, but if you don't put your mind to it. So we reached our booking and there were people still living in. We are weary, we're tired, we wanted to shower, we wanted to rest. At the same time, we wanted to move out and, explore the city and, go to these events and go to here and go there. And, guys, we just wanted to blow up, bro. We just wanted to blow. Had it not been Johnson to jazz us, bro, guys, just enter that Uber and let's go and get somewhere else. These guys were kind of fishy. The location for this booking was in the middle of the road, literally in the middle of a busy highway. That's where the location was. And we kept on asking them, are you sure this is the location? They're like, yeah, this is the location. Bruv, the thing was in the middle of a highway, bruv. That was one red flag that we had ignored just because of the place being good and, cozy and comfortable. And I don't want to say posh, but it was giving. Fast forward, of course, we went in for an Airbnb and the proximity was just next to the city and the monuments and all of that. And it was not far away from the Borderless Africa main event. Before that, there were many events that were happening, fashion shows and meetups and gatherings, and there was a lot going on before actually that final show. Now, what was funny is we got sleep for less than 2 hours because I told these guys, let us rest. We shall go into the city later on in the evening. And they're like, nah, bruv. So me, I blacked out, bro, low-key. I low-key blacked out. I'm like, what, guys, I'm tired, bro. Around 10 a.m., my door was knocked out and guys were like, yo, we are going out to get SIM cards. We can't be here without communication. And of course they are right. So in our accommodation, we did have Wi-Fi, but remember we are there to tour. We are not there to stay in our rooms. So we had to get something that we could, tap internet and, buy data and stream and be online and, take memories and stuff like that. So, of course, get SIM cards, get internet. And at the same time, we had to move around. No one told me how quiet Kigali was. Kigali was, especially the roads, the busy highways. And there's no unnecessary honking in Kigali, bro. And what was funny is, every time you step the zebra crossing, cars just, the cars, bro, I literally felt like my ears had gone on holiday because it was so quiet. Bruh, I'm like, this can never be Uganda, bruv. This can never be UG. Because, man, UG, you step there, guys will judge you, mwana, jayo.
Namukanye 2000, emitwale ebiri, lwaki abampa 10,000? 2000 emitwale ebiri. Yesu! Lwaki abeera mpa 10,000? 2000 ziba 10,000. 2000 emitwale ebiri ze namugambye. Emitwale ebiri ziba 20,000. Sheged. Wasabye 10,000 soka linyo ove wano. 2000. Linyo ove wano. 2000. Ezo 2000. Ziba 10,000.
That was a cultural shock to me. I never expected that, There is a trend of electric cars and electric motorcycles that is happening in Kigali. When I went to Kigali last year, the electric cars and the electric bikes had not really kicked off. There was no momentum. They were there, but there wasn't momentum. When we went everywhere, there are electric cars everywhere, bruv. And I think that is why there was a lot of silence on the road. And Spyro, by the way, Spyro is doing a really good job in Rwanda, because almost all the borders that I saw, the borders that I hopped on, were electric. I'm like, the air is less polluted. It's not that it's not polluted, but it is less polluted compared to Uganda. That's a fact, bro. That's a fact. The air is less polluted. The air is more, lively. I don't know what their conservation laws are, but I think they are really putting it into action. So, I mean, kudos. Kigali feels like it's standing on one foot in the future and one foot firmly rooted into tradition. One side you have a glassy skyscraper, wide clean windows, traffic that actually listens to the lights. Like I told you guys, these guys actually listen to the lights. On the other side, you still have a bustling open air market, women balancing baskets on their heads. Proudly African. Kigali is like any other African city. There is a mixture of tradition and there's also a mixture of futuristic things that are happening. There are places where I went to and there was an open market, like the way you see, or we know, or like these market days and stuff. Africa, we are not that different. There are certain things that are common to us. I'm going to give kudos to Uganda. We as Ugandans, we do have fresher fruits than Rwanda. Our fruits are fresh, bruv. Like that, from the mangoes to the avocados, and I mean, I really appreciate our Ugandan fruits. I mean, I tasted fruits from Rwanda. I mean, they are alright. But I mean, Uganda has better fruits, though. I'm not going to lie. The mangoes, the passion fruits, bruh. I mean, like our food basket in Uganda, Rwanda does not. You don't get close to our food basket, bruv. Uganda and food. I have never seen any food that surpasses Ugandan food, bro. To be honest with you, Ugandan food is just next level. Because I tested also their Rolexes. There were Ugandans. So what we did, we went and visited various restaurants. So there was this Ugandan who had, no, these guys don't have kiosks, but he had a booth. A Rolex booth, and I bought a Rolex, and that reminded me about Uganda. Now that's what we call a Ugandan delicacy. My first bite on that Rolex just took me back to my Rolex guy, bro. I won't lie to you guys, bro. Like, all I was thinking about was my Rolex guy, bro. Like, I think that Rolex made me homesick. I got a Rolex, chapati bidi, majaa bidi, nyanya mbisi. Take a kone kamuladi. And bro, like we sat there and we had this conversation with this guy, and we asked him, so what brought him to Rwanda? And he's like, I mean, like any other person, he went to Rwanda and he's an entrepreneur. He opened up a booth, started doing business. And so I asked him, do you know Kinyarwanda or do you know French? And he says he knows none of that. Entrepreneurship is a language of its own. Once you're an entrepreneur and you go to a new land and you practice entrepreneurship, that's a language. I'm not going to lie to you, especially when you're an African and you're within Africa and you are a serial entrepreneur. You can win anywhere. So man, shout out to our guy. I know you're going to watch this, and shout out to you for always pushing boundaries. Shout out to you for not fearing. Shout out to you for having the zeal. Shout out to you for having the balls of leaving your comfort zone, going somewhere new, and creating something of your own. But not only creating something of your own, but also shipping whatever is in your motherland, selling an idea. And shout out to everyone that is out there trying to push a dream. It's really not easy to chase a dream, but if you do have an opportunity to chase a dream, don't hesitate. No second thoughts, just go head on. So, shout out to you guys. I want to talk about the architecture in Kigali. Kigali's architecture tells its own story. Modern buildings like the Kigali Convention Center, they glow at night, smooth, futuristic, and almost sci-fi. But then you step into neighborhoods where homes are built in that classy red brick structure. So as you are heading to Kigali from the border, there are, of course, homesteads. These are things that we find mostly in almost every African country. They are so humbling. They remind you of where you come from. It's practically everywhere in Africa. So they are humbling tin roofs, and there are, I don't know how this is called, architects and architects and engineers. There are these roofs that are pointed like they are hips. What was surprising is on that road, I failed to see a school. You know how in Uganda, when you're on those main roads, you're going to Masindi, or you're going to Tororo, or you're going to the east, or you're going to the west, or even you're going to Yumbe. So on those highways, there are always those schools. Yeah, mostly, government schools, but even some private schools. You find like there are always schools on the side of the road. Well, I feel probably, I did not really notice them, or wherever I passed, I did not see a school. Probably they have, because there are also cities that have designations like Kinmokono. That's like a school area. So if you have a school like this, that's where they are concentrated. I don't know. If you guys know, you can just put it in the comments and you let me know. But yeah, and it's not all about replacing the old with the new. It's about layering them together. It's about harmonizing that livelihood with one another. The future, the past and traditional, and harmonizing them and seeing on how we can live together and how we can actually develop what we call tradition, but develop it into a culture of admiration. I'll give you an example of the Middle East. So now these Middle Eastern countries have a repetition of commercializing their culture, and I feel like we as Africans, that is what we need to do. We need to find a way of Africanizing whatever we have and selling it out there to the world. There are these TikTok videos that I was seeing, and there is this trend of tourism that is surfacing in Uganda in particular, but I think it's also happening elsewhere in Africa, where tourists come and instead of eating in a very posh and four-star hotel or something, they go down to grassroots, they go down to the kafundas that we feel like we don't want to eat from, guys.
Wallahi, the banana I ate this morning, sweeter than all the bananas of the whole of Africa. Yes, the banana I had. Do you know that? No, you don't. Do you know why? You didn't taste the bananas in other countries. I'm telling you. I look at the fruit, the pineapple you have is natural. Am I right? Did you inject it for it to grow like that? No. You are eating food that others would pay heavily to eat, and it's growing in your backyard. Come on, you are living in the pearl of Africa. Now you know. Make sure they don't call it the banana of Africa. MashaAllah. Imagine if the bananas are so nice, how nice are the pearls? We need to see them still. I want you to realize this. I want you really work together with one another.
The Nalongos, the Mama Belindas, I feel like we need to carry them up, and I feel like that is what tourism is supposed to be. So what these guys are doing, they are going down to the grassroots and actually feeling the natural feel of what Ugandan food is made of. The four-star restaurants are not going to give you that Ugandan feel. Luombo that has come from the heart, where Mama Nalango gets it and prepares it with all her being. Now that is a kind of food tourist needs to eat. Because trust you me, yes, there are Luombos in those four-star hotels, but it's no way compared to Mama Nalongo's Luombo. It's no way compared to Boido. You get? This is something that is eminent, and I feel like we need to push this more. We need to push tourism. We need to push culture. Africa is rich in culture. Uganda, we have over 54 tribes, and all these tribes come with their individual fingerprint. There's always a blueprint to culture. We need to embrace culture. We need to sell culture. And I was seeing there's it's a TikTok video somewhere, where these guys were actually eating jackfruit for the very first time. That is what we need to sell as a people. That's what we need to sell as a country. That is something that me personally I feel like I want to see. So when I went to Rwanda, there was this street where it has Ugandans, Nigerians, and Somalis, Eritreans, Egyptians, Italians. I'm like, okay, this is, because like everything was there. Jollof rice. We actually shot a podcast in the house, it's the house of Jollof. The house Jollof Kigali, yes, it's Jollof Kigali. Shout out to Jollof Kigali. Those guys gave us space and we shot a podcast with Johnson, and that podcast is coming out soon. Jollof Kigali guys, thanks. So those guys have every kind of Nigerian dish. Fufu. Okay, fufu is Ghanaian, but they have jollof rice, they have every kind of Nigerian food, and it was really an experience. I felt like, wow, this is what Borderless Africa is supposed to be. You know, we Ugandans are loud and expressive, and when we're arguing, we're even more louder. It's different in Rwanda. People are more reserved, more laid back. Someone doesn't show you feelings. Whereas in Uganda, we express our feelings, we show them out, we talk about them, we let people know how we feel. But in Rwanda, it's like, you might think people don't get annoyed in Rwanda by that. But I realize something, when someone is really uncomfortable, they'll just do this. Brother, you know that someone like, please get that out of here. But they are more laid back, they are more reserved, they are not expressive as we are. In Uganda, you can argue with the border even before you sit on his. You guys are already hitting it off and having a conversation. It is either about the roads or about politics or about like what's happening. You know, borders are unpaid therapists, because like when you sit on a border and you hear what border guys be jazzing, bro. But in Kigali, if you call the border will be like, helmet or no helmet. Expect them to be, hey, gundo genda, what? Like, but those guys don't really even talk like that. You really need to have that banter. A border guy will just come and just start talking to you about life lessons, bro. So fast forward, we go for the event. By we, I mean me and my friend. So we sat on I-8, on I-108. So these seats are just way above the VIP. So we're chilling. We expected him to go to the VIP, because that's where VIPs are supposed to be. The VIP, like the box. He comes through and everyone stands up and there's cheers and, you know, clapping. And so he comes slowly, and I'm expecting him to climb up and go to the VIP. So he comes and goes and sits like the 3 columns across us. And he's just in the crowd, literally in the crowd. I'm like, yo. I'm like, yo, President is sitting with the ordinary guys. It was a humbling experience to see him. He gave a really good speech. Let me just put for you guys a speech.
Giants of Africa have been a trailblazer in sports, in infrastructure, in identifying and developing the talent that is in Africa's youth that you represent here tonight. I thank each and every country represented here, the 20 countries that you represent. We appreciate you, we welcome you, we want you to feel at home while you are here. And we hope you will be back, even for other things other than just this festival. You are most welcome. And again, I mean it. You are welcome. Africa needs to believe in the giant that Africa is. And we've got to come out and show it and do what we need to do that giants do. Africa should not, cannot remain lagging behind the rest of the world. Why? What is the question? That can't be answered. Why? But in a small way like this, in this festival, we are reminded that we can start the numbers we are here, countries represent and grow and bring out the many millions that Africans are and show their worth and continue to do Africa proud. We can do it. So it shouldn't just be a slogan. It shouldn't be talk. It should be deeds as well. And we are capable of doing that, just that.
Reflecting on that experience, it taught me that we are all one as Africans. And the earlier we realized that we are one unit, we are one people. What I actually experienced in Rwanda is what I expected. Like, to be honest with you, I'm not going to lie. I don't want to lie, bro. Like, Rwanda is what I envisioned it to be. Clean, beautiful people. Like, that goes without saying. Rwanda has beautiful people, bro. We had a break at the concert, and we had gone to get something to eat and stuff. I'm looking at all these beautiful people of all colors, race, sizes, and I'm like, God really did take time on these people. The Rwandans who come to Uganda, they give us the ugly ones, and then they stay with the ones that are actually beautiful. But Rwanda people are beautiful. They are beautiful people, and the experience was great, and we met quite a number of people. We interacted, and perceptions changed. In that visit, perceptions changed, and there was a lot of forward-thinking messages that came from the keynote speakers. We are really on point.
You see me? I don't care what anybody does. I will always be a son of Africa. I will always be here, and I'll always represent it, and I'll always do it big here, right here, right here. Every day, I sleep, I drink, I eat, I think. Everything I do is Africa. Yes. And that's how you youth should think every day, because you see all of us here that came to speak, Festus, Chine, myself, Amadou, Claire. We say we're presidents, we say we're CEOs, we say we're champions, you say we're this, we say we're that. Guess what? We all grew up in Africa. We wore our pants the same, we wore our shorts the same, we walked without shoes and went to school. We all did it the same, yes, and we got to where we are. And if we can do it, I'm telling you, I know I'm not as smart as you guys. I know a lot of us are not as smart as you youth. If we can do it, you guys can do it bigger, better, bigger, better, okay? Okay? So what Festus said is real. What Chine said is real. You believe in yourself. Yes.
On point. And every country that was represented, they were represented to the fullest. And there were these Ethiopian guys that came through, and the girl was fixing this guy's, I think, collar, like their traditional attire and stuff. I looked at them and I'm like, wow. You would really see that joy, and I think this is what Africa's reality is. Working together, Ubuntu. Thank you guys for walking the hills of Rwanda with me. The only way for you to be part of this conversation is, of course, sharing, commenting. Tell me what you guys want to listen to. I'll be bringing it to you guys. So just go down in the comments below and give me your thoughts of travel. If you've traveled, or if you've traveled to Rwanda, what was your experience? If you've traveled elsewhere, what was your experience? And don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Let people know about this channel. Really, like this is the biggest podcast. Let us build this community together. From me to you. Peace out until the next one.